Hello, my friends. Jacob is here once again. It's Tuesday, and the show that I promised, artificial intelligence, and how is it in the scriptures, and why is that important today? That's the show that we're talking about today. That's right. There's a little more to the story of Joshua and Israel taking on that small little city named Ai. Then you know, there's a lot of stuff going on today with artificial intelligence, a lot. And each day it gets a little more interesting, we should say. Some may say disturbing. Others may say terrifying. I say exciting. So I hope each and every one of you are buckled up because there is a lesson to be found in these scriptures. And artificial intelligence, whew, that may be man's next defeat. Okay, so you know me. So all this started with me saying, okay, what must I talk about? That's right. I seek more every week when I come to all of you. I seek more. I take a little time. Usually when I'm at the gym and I'm on the elliptical machine and I'm jamming to some tunes on Pandora, I just kind of close my eyes and I'm just like, what is it that I'm meant to do? And sometimes I think to myself, hey, you know what? Maybe I'll just listen to some scripture. So I just kind of like randomly choose something, and boom, I landed on Joshua chapter 8, verse 1. And the Lord said to Joshua, "Fear not, neither be dismayed. Take all the people of war with you and arise and go up to Ai." I just thought that it was interesting because I was thinking about doing artificial intelligence and I thought, oh my goodness, how strange, right? How strange that I want to know what I'm doing and then boom, there it is. So I really kind of dug into the story and I looked at it a little bit because there is a lesson to be learned here, a big one. You see, Joshua, if you know anything about it, I'll give you a little history, okay? So you probably know who Moses is. All right, he was this guy, and at this time in history, all of Israel, they were all slaves to Pharaoh, which is great symbolism, by the way, because in Greek, Pharaoh means man's nakedness. So So Moses, they were slaves in Egypt. Moses came in and he let them out, which is kind of cool because Moses' name means to draw out. So it was like he literally drew them out of their servitude to their nakedness, which is a man's shame. See, because there's a message there. At a point in our lives, we're all going to be slaves to our shame, and we need someone to lead us out. And Moses led them out. But the irony is, a lot of people don't understand this about Moses. They think that he was some great dude. Well, Moses, he never inherited the promise. He never entered into that promised land. He led him out into the wilderness, and he basically, he died there. That's basically the way the story goes. And why did he do that? He did that because he was relying on his own strength and his own power. He was told to speak to the rock, and instead of speaking to it, what he did was he bashed it a couple of times to get it to do what he wanted to do, which was to get this water so that they could drink. But that's another story for another day, and I'm probably confusing you, right? So let me just finish. Okay, so Moses never leads them into the promised land. They're still in the wilderness, right? 40 years, something crazy, which is another very symbolic number because about 40 weeks to every pregnancy. You see here, there's a lot of other stuff that people have no idea about in Scripture. And there's so many different ways of looking at it. And I think it's really exciting that this story that we're looking at, when we get to Joshua and his defeat at Ai, you'll understand that this has to do with the time that we're in right now. Because man, in his hubris, is thinking that, hey, I can do whatever I want, we smashed the atom, right? We got the walls of the atom to come down. Ironically, Joshua and Israel, they got the walls of Jericho to come down. And all they had to do was, use vibration, sound, Right? They had to sound the horn and they to stomp around it, and they circled it 7 times. A little bit like a collider, right? I'm not saying that's what it is, but think about this for a second. We've done some pretty remarkable things. Just this year alone, we know that gravitational waves exist, which means black holes exist, which means now we know there are other dimensions, right? We've gone to the outer edges of the universe, and we've gone down to the Planck level, the lowest, to the absolute, the beginning of all things. We've done some pretty amazing things, right? So, just like Joshua and his army, after they took down Jericho, see, Jericho was like this big city, and it had these big, big walls. And Joshua, by the way, he was kind of a protege of Moses. He was the one. He was actually kind of a warrior, and he was kind of a cool dude. He reminded me a lot of David. And he had his faults, but he was a guy who really loved to serve God. So where Moses failed, Joshua didn't. He got him into the promised land. It's interesting because a lot of people, they'd like to say to me, why don't you say the name Jesus more? I say Jesus like all the time. I wouldn't know salvation if I didn't know Jesus. I wouldn't know anything if I didn't know Jesus. But that's not the point. That's not his name, just so you know. A lot of people don't know this. A proper translation would be Joshua. Joshua is the proper translation. So it's interesting that here you have in the Old Testament, you have Joshua leading people into the promised land, and in the New Testament you have Joshua leading people into the promised land. Okay, so, and how do they do this? Okay, well, so Jericho, very, very important city, very, very powerful city, said to be impenetrable. They actually had to send some spies into Rahab's house, send a couple of people in. They understood. They're like, whoa, this is going to be tough. This is going to be tough. But Joshua, he knew that all they had to do was just circle around it, right? And that by doing this, because they were he was inspired by the Lord. See, I think a lot of people don't understand that when people get great inspiration, scientists, physicists, whatever, whoever you are, when you are inspired to do something, do you ever wonder where that comes from? See, that's the problem with man, is that man's going to say, oh, that came from me. But really, you don't know where it came from. It came from within somewhere. And then boom, it comes without. You are inspired. That's why I wrote an essay called The Great God of Inspiration. That's why I talk about the power of imagination and faith, and that they're very, very similar in a roundabout way. So after taking Jericho, they thought, this little small city, I had like 12,000 people. It didn't even have a lot of people. It wasn't even like anything scary. So much so that they're like, hey, let's just we'll send like 3,000 people to battle, which was really kind of, the odds weren't great. I mean, I may be wrong on the numbers because I'm going off of memory, but it was kind of like, the odds were in their favor, and it was kind of their home. But, man and its pride. We don't need to worry about AI. AI ain't no big deal, right? We're going to tackle that next. We just took down Jericho. We're going to take down AI. We just found the Higgs boson. We have no problem. We're just going to create now artificial intelligent life, and we're going to put it in every aspect of our life. No big deal. Man and his hubris. And what happens? What happens? Well, they go up there and they get their butts handed to them. AI proves to be a much harder foe than they expected. Now, why did they fail? You know why? Because they weren't thinking about God anymore. They were too busy patting each other on the back and saying, oh, it's all about us. Look at how great we are. We can just take them out. They ain't nothing. The problem is, there is more to the story. There's more to me. There's more to you. There's more to everything. And there's definitely more than what religion tells you. So all you people that want to come on here and tell me that I'm doing things wrong and blah, 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 and I'm not saying to go here and I'm not saying to go there and I'm not telling you who to believe in, and they say that that's all wrong. Let me tell you, I have one goal in my life, and that is to show you all that there is more. I know God. I mean, that's the name I use. And I wish you would too, because one way or another, it's going that way, because everything is going to go to where it needs to go when it needs to go, regardless. But we may learn some lessons along the way, like with artificial intelligence. Our first attempt to dominate AI and may not be the best thing. we may end up finding out that massive unemployment's probably not the best thing. Having drones decide who to kill and when to kill, and maybe not the best thing. Putting artificial intelligent algorithms in charge of our banking system, not the best thing. Making our entire bank system move towards Bitcoin and blockchain and e-currency, not the best thing. But hey, who am I? Who am I to say? Because right now, I don't think anybody really cares. I think everybody's just so excited about, hey, look how great this is. Look at what we just did. Now, The Verge was just doing a show, which was kind of cool. Verge just did a show about how they took a worm and they downloaded the worm, its consciousness, its soul, whatever you want to call it, into a Lego robot. And I had seen this years ago because this is old news. They did this back like years ago. So what they did was they mapped all the neurons. I think it was like 305 neurons in this worm, and they mapped every cell, and they mapped this and they mapped that, and they basically created a simulation of they created a virtual worm, and then they put that virtual worm into a robot, and then it was behaving like a worm, which is interesting, scary and spooky. Now, a lot of people probably didn't even hear about that story. But what's scarier is that, can you imagine what they're doing now that we're not hearing about? That was years ago. Like, they put a rat brain in some kind of a mason jar and then attach it to this, and they actually had a rat moving a robot around a couple of years ago, too. It seems like man today, more than any other day, feels like they don't have to be held accountable for anything. We can say what we want, we can act how we want, we can do what we want, we can hurt who we want, we can. Look at the leaders of the free world, how they are behaving, and how. Really, people. I'm watching this new series on Amazon Prime, which is great because I love Black Mirror and I love that on Netflix. But Amazon Prime has Philip K. Dick. So I love Philip K. Dick. He many years ago, he was talking about the Mandela effect. He said flat out that we live in a simulation, and the only way we know this is when something that we know historically as one way has changed, and that's how we know. Yeah, I've done videos on that too. If you don't know anything about the Mandela effect, check it out. Whether we're in a simulation or not, I'm not really too concerned about it. As I said, we know we exist. So it doesn't matter if we're in a biological framework or if we're in some kind of a computer framework. But, as James Gates says, there is computer code at the fabric of all things when you look at quantum mathematics. Forget about all that. Let's put that aside. Let's put a pin in that. Let's talk about some of the advances in AI. This is just within the last couple of days, okay? HSBC, all the banks right now, they are the biggest players in banking right now. They have announced their new way of servicing customers. Chatbox, that's right, chatbots. The chatbots are machines. They're going to use AI intelligence technologies such as natural language processing to answer questions and queries from customers. So basically, guess what? All you people that took jobs from one country and got paid less for another, and you're answering calls, and you're going to be out of work now. So great, right? Because that's another job that we're going to lose. Amazon just bought, they just purchased Whole Foods. I talked about those Amazon Go stores. Well, guess what's going to happen? All those Whole Food stores, mark my words, are going to become Amazon Go stores. Watch that happen. I'm not a prophet, not predicting, but that's what I would think would happen. Because you know what? It's convenient. You go in, you grab your stuff, and you go out. Amazon right now, they're going to be, if there was one corporation that owned it all and ruled it all, I see Amazon and go in that direction. And how do I know? Well, look at their logo. talking about just like just gross subliminal messages, like right in your face, blatant. I have to turn away. But great series, Electric Dreams. Check it out, and that'll really get you all worked up about AI. Also, consciousness transfer, which is another thing. By the way, they've been trying to get consciousness. Because all these wealthy billionaires, they want to be immortal. That's why they're putting all their money into this kind of technology, which Google keeps buying up. We're talking massive unemployment. We already know that right now. Drivers are losing. Uber drivers, taxi drivers, bus drivers. I mean, like, it's all on the agenda. It's like there's going to be such massive unemployment that once again, we're going to need we're going to need to explore universal basic income, which basically put everybody on a welfare state. I just don't think that's the best way. I mean, see, all of these advances, I think they're great. I think it's great. I think it's wonderful, But I think that we have an obligation worldwide to remember that we all need purpose, and we all need a sense of well-being, and we all need to provide for ourselves. And sadly, today, everybody's making a lot less money. If it wasn't for me eking out a few bucks from YouTube right now, my company was just bought out. It was just bought out by some behemoth. A behemoth, which, by the way, maybe the next Enron. But yeah, what are you going to do? It's no big deal. I'm not really worried about it. The reason why I haven't left is because I know that it's all working out. I already envisioned. I know where I'm going, and I hope you do too. Alibaba. This is big news. Alibaba, they just developed an artificial intelligence model that has now scored higher on the Stanford University reading comprehension test than humans. All in all, AI is pretty much in every area of our life, and they're kicking our butts. So Alibaba Group put its deep neural network model through its paces last week, asking the AI to provide exact answers to more than 100,000 questions, compromising a quiz that's considered one of the world's most authoritative machine reading gauges. The model, developed by Alibaba's Institute of Data Science Technology, scored an 82.44, edging past 82.30, the rival humans achieved. Ha ha! So now they beat us at chess, they beat us at Go, they beat us at everything right now. Rubik's Cube, they had to make a cube. AI, the robot solves Rubik's Cube faster. They had to actually make one that was super fast because the other model broke. They kicking our butts until a bunch of neos wake up. A bunch of us wake up. As I talk about, because what follows the time of Joshua is the time of judges. So I'm going to get into that in a second. I just want to hit a couple of more AI things that are really kind of bugging me out a little bit. Sexuality detecting AI devices. Okay, now why does this matter? Well, let me tell you something. You already know that everywhere you go, there's a camera. And you already know that your all of your biometric data is already available. All it takes is one sweeping law where they say that it just, we don't have to give it to you anymore. We've already given it to you, right? These researchers, I'm not even going to try to pronounce this, at Stanford University, they created what they call a gaydar for forgive me. I guess that's what it is. It's that this AI can, by looking at facial structure, can tell whether a man is gay or a woman is gay, or if they're straight. I think this is quite bizarre that this is even something that they're talking about. But a team of Google and Princeton researchers, they said, no, you're full of baloney. The algorithm is actually choosing because of people that are gay. They do selfies a little different, and they groom a little different, and so that's where the AI is coming up with its answers. I think I don't even know why we're bothering, but I guess that that could be a thing. I mean, you think about that. That's why the LGBTQ. Sorry, I'm not up on all of the letters, but I think their community is upset about this because this could be like, it could be outing a lot of people and that don't want to be outed. And I understand that. I mean, it's nobody's business. It's nobody's business. You know, you really people gotta learn to worry about themselves. The problem is too many people are focusing on other people, you know, and really it's because that they're unhappy. So they're looking at other people and they're like, oh well, that person, I'm not as bad as that person. So they try to make themselves feel better by, you know, pointing out other people's flaws. And that's not cool. All right, so an army of AI robots is going to now feed the world. That just came out. There's a new big robot. I think, what is it called? It was something really cool, kind of cool. It was I forgot the name. I think it was called like Potato or something. But they're spending a lot of money, and basically this thing is going to it's going to be able to detect, and it can detect with precise precision what's a weed, what's a plant, what's a weak plant, what's a strong plant, so it can like send a jet of pesticide and like just hit the root with like perfect accuracy and everything else, and then cut down on the amount of pesticide. See, these are advances that I think are great. I'm not against advances, not at all, and I'm not really scared of it. I just think that I'm more concerned with the people that are funding this stuff and the people that are racing to get there without thinking of the implications. There are so many already, and it's just going to get crazier. So let's circle back to Jericho and AI. Now, what's interesting about where AI was located is it was located between two towns. One of them was Beth Aven, and one of them was Bethel. Now it's interesting, okay? Because I mean, this is a whole great story on a whole other level. Bethel means the house of God, and Beth Aven means the house of vanity, the house of nothing. And that's kind of like, aren't we right there in between that? We're like the house of God or the house of nothing. You know, it's either there's more to life or there's not, right? And AI was smack dab in the middle, you know, not on either side. I just think that that's pretty interesting. Now, why was Joshua and Israel? Why were they defeated? What was the problem? There's this guy named Achan, which is great. You know, even the name Achan, right? He's like, I think the name means troubler, which is interesting because once again, you have these people that are like, they just do things out of greed, and that's what he did. Was he basically robbed? You know, it's like sometimes in life, you know, when you're given blessings and you know, when you finally overcome, and no matter how tired you are, when you get there, right? Don't get there and then become like everybody else. Get there and be charitable. Make sure that your hand is open and giving and kind. Because the world today is the place that it is today because of either those that are dwelling in the house of God or those that are dwelling in the house of vanity. You know, the house of shame, the house of suffering. We could turn this whole world around, and AI can be a wonderful thing if it's regulated and if the people that are at the helm are actually thinking of everyone's best interest, because no one is better than anyone else. No one is greater than anyone else. That's why I really have a problem with the whole kissing the ring thing, you know. And the elevated pulpits. And I mean, if you think about this stuff, you know, even when you go to your churches or whatever, the pastor or the priest or the rabbi, many times they're on an elevated stage and you are somehow beneath them, which is, you know, that's not it. You know, that's not the way it is. It's supposed to be face to face. And so the interesting thing about AI, I think this is really kind of cool, is Joshua ends up defeating AI by sending like an army, like a virus, right, into the back door, in their back door when they weren't expecting it. I think that's kind of cool, considering AI and computers and back doors and all that. I don't know. Listen, you know, it's not that everything in Scripture is there already, you know, and you can really turn any of these lessons into something today. The fact that this town is known as AI, that is pretty interesting to me. And I think a lesson for us all, because I know we've done some great things, right? But we haven't done it on our own accord. I haven't gotten to all of you, and I haven't gotten the channel that I've gotten today, and I don't have as many subscribers as I do today because of me. I mean, many of you might say that, well, no, Jacob, we like you, you're a good guy. But you know, if you know anything about the channel, and if you've watched some of my earlier videos, you know that I said that it was going to happen, but I didn't have any choice in how it happened. It was all a bunch of weird events, a dream I had, and chance events, and just a lot of stuff coming together to get me to talk about a subject that I didn't really want to talk about, which basically launched the channel in the direction it is today. And that wasn't me, because I didn't want to do it. Sometimes in life, the things that we're scared to do, the chances that we're scared to take, are the very things that bring us where we've always desired to be. So make sure that when you get there, this is a big thing for me because I know where I'm going. And when I get there, I know that I have like a mandate to keep my hand open and my heart right. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why I've never been this wealthy guy, but a guy that, just like all of you, waiting for that check to make sure we're out of debt because I got a lot of children. It's all right, because every year, I am ahead, regardless of what the bank tells me. I love each and every one of you, and I will talk to you soon. Please do subscribe, share it around, tell people about it. Help me get to 100,000. It's been like forever. I really want to get that little silver plaque. I'm so excited. My kids think it's a little silly, but I'm so excited. I can't wait. I'm going to put it somewhere. I'm sure I'll put like a scripture verse or something. I'll hide something in the background. I'm going to do something fun with it. So help me get there. I love each and every one of you. And and by the way, everybody keeps asking me about that the physicist. Yeah, he's working on the Dune experiment. I am trying. I continue to send him emails. And if he doesn't ante up, I'm just going to find another physicist, because I can easily just tap into Brookhaven. They're right over here. They're not even that far from where I live. I love each and every one of you. Please do subscribe and share it around. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.